Well, today I am at Dinosaur Valley. There's a town about 5 kilometers from here called Drumheller. That's where the Tyrrell Dinosaur Museum is. This is where they find all the dinosaurs in Canada. Canada's version of the Badlands, if you will. It's just beautiful here. You can see some storms moving around me here a bit. That's one nice thing about the prairies in Canada. If you want to know what the weather's going to be like tomorrow, just look out the window today. You can see everything. But I wanted to pull over because I had a really amazing experience I wanted to read to you about if I can find it here. It's about God's power of healing. Faith, obviously, and miracles. Listen to this. Bruce Van Natta loved trucks, and his job as a self-employed diesel mechanic helped his Christian family man live out his power truck dreams and provide for his wife and 4 children. He never once gave a thought to the danger of working on engines that weighed thousands of pounds until November 16, 2006. I was working on a Peterbilt logging truck about an hour from our home, Bruce recalls, and the guy I was working with, the driver of the truck, asked me if I would like to try and diagnose one more problem, one more leak before I left. So if you could picture one of these great big Peterbilt trucks, here's the front bumper, and I slipped underneath the great big bumper feet first. He had the front axle jacked up in the air and the passenger side wheel removed. I slipped underneath that great big chrome bumper feet first. I said to him, "You jump up inside and see what the temperature of the engine is. The axle is going right across my chest at this point, maybe an inch or two above my chest." Just as Bruce slipped under the truck, the 20-ton capacity jack holding up the truck shot out from its position. This 10,000 to 12,000 pounds of weight that is on these front 2 wheels on this axle came down across my midsection, basically like a blunt guillotine, and just crushed me in half. Blood had spattered into my throat when it fell. I looked down and I could see there was less than an inch of airspace between the bottom of the axle and the cement. I knew the thickest part of my body had been crushed to maybe 2 inches thick. The man who jacked the truck up, I begged him to get me out from underneath the truck. He didn't want to because he could tell that I had to have a broken back, and I did. The vertebrae in my spine were cracked the width of the axle. I tried to pull myself out from under the truck. It was the most incredible pain you can think of. I got myself just to the point where my head is sticking out from underneath the front bumper of the truck. The very next thing I knew, I just called out, "Lord, help me." I called it out twice. Instantly, all of the pain left Bruce's body. At that point, I became unconscious. My spirit left my body and floated into the ceiling, and now my spirit is looking at the accident scene from above. The man I had been working with was on his knees above my body. I can hear him saying things like, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." But on each side of him, also on their knees, were huge angels. They would have been about 8 feet tall. They didn't have wings, just very, very broad shoulders. Between the 2 angels and him, it took up the whole width of the whole truck. There was a bright light shining around each of them. They were matching bookends. They didn't budge. I never heard them say anything. They just had their arms underneath the truck, not holding the truck up, but they had their arms angled in towards my body. There was no pain, just peace. I can't even describe the peace I felt in the ceiling up in that garage. Bruce knew he had a serious choice to make. I was definitely on the very edge of life and death. There were 2 thoughts in my head. One was, shut your eyes and give up and die. You are just going to go to heaven anyway. That voice was very loud. There was another voice in my head, much quieter, much more of a whisper. If you want to live, you're going to have to fight, and you're going to have to fight hard. The next thing I knew, my spirit went back down into my body just like a shot. Bruce was conscious as he was flown on a life flight to the hospital. Doctors there doubted he would even survive the next few hours. His ribs were broken, his pancreas and spleen crushed, and several major arteries had been severed. We found out from doctors later that I had 5 places that major arteries were completely severed. I found out from doctors that there was a medical study done in 2001. According to that study by the University of South California, they used my case and compared it against that study. According to that, they can't find anyone else in the world that has ever lived with 5 major arteries being severed. I should have bled to death in a few minutes. So my thought is, the angels were there to somehow hold me together. Bruce stayed in the hospital for over 2 months and survived 5 major surgeries. Yet he had overwhelming obstacles to overcome. Almost 75% of his small intestines were crushed in the accident and had to be removed. An adult has about 18 to 20 some feet of small intestine. I was down to less than 100 centimeters. Someone came in and told us that they didn't expect me to live much more than a year, that I would slowly starve to death. I was losing weight very rapidly, despite them feeding me intravenously. Bruce's once 180-pound frame dropped to 126 pounds, but his family was praying and his community rallied around him. He received an unexpected visitor in his hospital room one day. The Lord woke up a man in New York 2 days in a row. Someone that I once met on vacation. He came and prayed for me in the hospital. He put his palm upon my forehead, and when he prayed the way Jesus taught us to pray. He spoke to the mountain, in this case, my small intestine. I command you to supernaturally grow back in the name of Jesus Christ. When he said that, I felt like 220 volts came out of his palm into my forehead, right into my body. I could feel my intestines moving around up and down. After 9 long months of surgery and hospital stays, Bruce was eventually able to feed himself and gain weight, all the way back up to 170 pounds. When he returned for testing, radiology reports and doctors confirmed that he had almost 9 feet of small intestine. His intestines had doubled in length. When they tested me, they said that the small intestines the Lord gave back to me were twice as good as normal. They absorb, even though it is half the amount, they work just as well as if I had all of it. So they are twice as good as normal. They absorb the vitamins, the minerals, the nutrients, everything I eat into my body. Over and over, the Lord kept confounding the doctors from the point of saying I shouldn't have lived. I should have bled to death. My intestines miraculously had grown back. God was showing miracles were happening. My pancreas rejuvenated by itself. My spleen rejuvenated by itself. Miracle after miracle. God was just showing up and showing himself very real and very strong. He is a miracle worker. Today, through their organization, Sweet Bread Ministries, Bruce and his family traveled together to talk about supernatural healing. Bruce has also written a book called Saved by Angels. I think that one of the most powerful parts about my testimony is that, despite myself, it raises their faith to say, wow, if God would send angels to save him on an accident scene, knowing he didn't deserve it, then it raises people's faith to the point they think, God may do that for me. Miracle after miracle. He is alive and well and wants to reach people at the point of their need. He knows exactly what our needs are, and he's willing and capable to meet us at the point of our need. We've got a God that loves us more than we could ever imagine, and he pours out his love in such an amazing way that it is indescribable. What an amazing story. You know, it never ceases to amaze me how often that people have experienced life-changing events like these, major accidents, and who feel the presence of God in their life now, how often they begin ministries and write books trying to reach out to other people so they can share the joy that they now feel and that they've found in God. And sharing faith. I know that is one of the most powerful and wonderful gifts we can give to each other. And really, it's the reason why I started this channel. It's really all about just caring about each other. Well, that is going to be the end of today's video. Before I go, I'll do a little bit of a pan around just to show you what things look like. I don't know if you can see, but way down over there, there's some people hiking. They got their dog. They're walking along the floor of the canyon there. I could stay here all day. Usually when I come here it's so windy that you can hardly stand. But this is amazing. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video today, and may God continue to be with you and your family. Bye now. I'll do a pan around for you. Like I say, this is Canada's versions of the Badlands. It's a few miles long, probably about 20 miles long. I'm gonna go to some other areas here today too and show you some other really neat locations. But yeah, it'll rain here, and then they'll come out and find bones and fossils from dinosaurs. It's really a very famous place. I suggest if you have a chance someday to come here, you'll certainly take advantage of it. Well, thank you very much. Bye now.